The opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Scarefest Radio, the radio you can see.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to Scarefest Television. Happy New Year. It is now 2021. We can put all that messiness behind us and just have butterflies and unicorns all flying out of our butts because it is January 1st, 2021. My guests tonight, John and Stacey Edwards, old friends of mine from way back, probably my oldest friends in the paranormal. And with the, you know, from Paranormal Sideshow and any other number of projects that they've worked on over the years. And one thing, okay, now I'm just going to go ahead and get right into this with one thing. Still got a couple of business things I got to say. But John, in getting a promotional photo for tonight's episode, do you realize that you do not actually have any photos where she is looking at you?
No, you know, that's a good trivia thing, because I had realized. I had no idea. Something has had to keep us together for over 20 years.
She's always either looking away from you or occasionally, actually, no, she's always looking, you're always looking at like the back of her head and she's looking away from you. And apparently
she's always looking at a Puerto Rican pool boy walking down the street.
Well, don't get me started. I have caused at least 2 divorces in my lifetime, but I'm taking credit for one engagement. So I'm hoping that I get to actually, when I'm at the gates of, when I'm at the gates of heaven, I'm hoping when he's reading the book, he'll at least, you know, balance that out a little bit for me, if you know what I mean. The 2 business items I got. The Scarefest television, or actually it's the Scarefest gift shop. I got like hats in there. The Scarefest gift shop is live at scarefestradio.com. We've got some Scarefest radio merchandise, but it's in the storage locker because 2020. And the other thing is, don't forget, everybody, 30-minute mark, we're going to drop a celebrity announcement, an actual celebrity announcement for Scarefest 2021. Ask me if we're going to have the con, will you? Yes, we're booking celebrities. That is a dead giveaway that we are planning on having the convention this year. And finally, speaker applications for the Scarefest are online. Go to thescarefest.com. and you will find an application to speak at the Scarefest, Scarefest 13 Resurrection, Scarefest 2021.
I like it.
Yeah, that I came up with that. That is how talented I am. I am becoming a marketing whiz for everybody but me. But yeah, I came up with that.
No, I like the name. Did you ever pick any names? I liked your the podcast ideas you had online where you were asking the different names. There were some creative names on there.
There were, and honestly, everybody, the inside baseball stuff on this. I asked for one about well, the vendor one's not decided yet. Authors, and back at Scarefest, I want to say it was 9 or 10. We did a book of amateur authors. You submitted your story, blah blah blah. It came out in a neat little journal called Blood Types. And we've been talking about doing it again, but we just never got out our ass and did it. And I said, oh my God, we already have the perfect title for a podcast concentrating on authors that support the Scarefest. So anyway, that'll be coming up. I've got supernatural spiritual health and inspirational talk will be premiering Monday with host Chip Divine, who everyone will just love, and I hope he becomes a favorite cosplay character all around the country. And then Paranormal Filler is coming back the second week of January.
Oh, yeah.
That's where it all started, people. That was where. Well, actually, it all started on their damn podcast on Haunted South. But yeah, that's where I got my start, was Paranormal Filler, and I need to go out and dig some of those old episodes out because they were rough. They were rough. Anyway, so tonight what we're doing, everybody, we're celebrating the end of the dumpster fire that was 2020, and we're going to tell them about your show. It's easier for you to describe what you do on your podcast rather than have me stumble through it.
We are a hot mess that sit around for about 8 hours, and she tries to read stories, and I just completely ruin it for her. And then at the end of it, she goes and edits it down to 2 hours, makes us sound beautiful, takes out all the and all the what is it you say all the time? Actually. She said,
apparently.
She says apparently, actually.
This is live, so you'll completely notice it tonight now that we've mentioned
and
it.
Apparently, I say a lot. But no, what we do and what we've done now for 10 years with short little breaks. In between, very short breaks, but still yet breaks, and different names. So to see our catalog, it's all on paranormalsideshow.com. You can be a patron, and we've got the whole catalog there.
Yes.
But from Haunted South to Third Side to Paranormal Sideshow, we do the news, and not just the news. It's the weird news, and not just something we've stolen off coast to coast.
If it has to do with something paranormal, weird, funny, odd, anything like that,
Space.
Yeah,
I mean, we do legit news, but
conspiracy theory, any of that stuff.
I absolutely loved the way you all did that, and I actually tried to copy it verbatim on when I did the paranormal icon, and I had somebody that would actually go out and do the research for me and find really nifty news stories that that I'm just too busy or lazy or whatever to do. So I never have been able to recreate that experience until tonight. I get to be part of it. And I am excited, because if I can't come up with a snide remark about something, then COVID is the least of my worries. So
no, I have no doubt.
No, that's true.
Well, yeah. I'll just turn it over to I understand we'll start Stacey always kicks this off. And so we're going to let her do her thing, and then
you guys just jump in as needed.
As needed.
Okay, so we made a list of some of the bigger and stranger stories from 2020, the ones that we did on our show. And boy, it was a strange year.
It was a strange year. And let me go ahead and interrupt her now. So speaking of strange, Wes, and lovely viewers and listeners, we were looking at our impressions. Is that what you would call it? Our downloads?
Yeah, like our downloads of our show.
Yeah. So last week's show, for us, for whatever reason, we had this huge spike, and this is just before Christmas. And by a huge spike, I mean like 10,000 in a day of a spike. That is more than normal.
Yeah, more than what we would normally get.
Yeah. So there was 10,000 downloads roughly, and they all came from China. Not just one little province.
No,
yeah.
Every download was from China. It was so strange.
All over the entire length and breadth of China. Now, if there's any of our listeners out there that are tuning in, which you better be, because I'm going to go back and check and see if you support it or not. And if not, I'm going to boot you off the Patreon. No, we won't. The deal is, going back, and if you listen to the past 2 years or something, I don't make fun. Well, okay, I make fun of everybody, but I make fun of China a little extra, and not really the Chinese people. God love the Chinese people. I make fun of their government actions, and
they make it kind of easy because we get all those stories about the scientists and doing the genetic things and the monkeys and the DNA splicing.
Yeah, because
they ask for it.
For example, this past year, they had a breakthrough in cloning. Okay. And they said, but of course, the Chinese government has said that they will not do any further test because of how bad this test had turned out. And I was like, okay. Yeah.
How bad was it?
Oh, man. You remember the story I'm talking about, right?
I think so. Wasn't it the one where they did the monkey brains with the human cells and the brains got bigger? And then after so many weeks, they were like, okay, we need to nix this.
Yeah, they were developing a consciousness, and they were
making smart monkeys.
Yes, really smart monkeys with
I
big
saw that
brains.
movie. I saw that movie.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's all a horror movie.
You did it. You really did it.
I think I saw an article. We didn't do this article, but I think I saw one where they were making super soldiers now, where they're splicing DNA and making super soldiers or something.
So anyway, continue, my dear.
I'm sorry. Anyway, so strange year. Okay. And so we're going to start it off with talking about the Pentagon and their first ever actual acknowledgement that the Navy pilots captured unknown aircraft. I mean, they officially came out and said, we don't know what that is. Those are real videos. We're just going to release them to the public because they were out already anyway. And
I never understood why that was not a bigger news story.
Yeah, I know.
I actually spoke to someone.
It should have been the biggest news story of our time.
Yeah, I spoke to someone like 2 weeks ago, and I said something about UFOs, and no, I don't believe in UFOs. And I'm like, dude, the government told you there were UFOs.
Right.
Yeah, by definition, something they said is off-world. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was really funny because, the videos had already been leaked. They'd been out for months and months and months, and then finally the Pentagon was like, okay, those are real.
Yeah.
We're going to officially release them.
Absolutely. Well, they had, by that point, they had the pilots.
Mm-hmm.
They had everybody coming out and
the TV show
doing the full interviews.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when it was leaked, because this was a big story in 2019, but it wasn't a big story until the freaking Pentagon says, all right, it's real. Move on. It's real.
We don't know what it is. Just forget about it.
Yeah. And like Wes said, I don't know if they gave us too much fluoride that week or what, but nobody cared.
I've always said when I see a YouTube video that's tagged definitive proof that ghosts exist, I'm like, no. The day that we actually prove that ghosts exist, CNN will have Wolf Blitzer on there going, oh, fuck, now there's ghost. But we did it with UFOs, and everyone was like, meh.
Yeah.
Meh. Nobody cared. Meh.
It was like the end story.
Mm-hmm.
It was like they'd be done with the news. It'd be like, okay, that was Pete with local high school hoops. And this last bit of story here, it's kind of a feel-good story. Please cue the X-Files music.
Yeah.
And, they'd be like, the government came out today and said that those little blips last year, that tic-tac, well, that was real. That was a tic-tac we didn't know about or something. I mean, it was just stupid.
And it was strange because you would see it on Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson ran with the UFO thing. Like, he showed it on several episodes. So I don't know. It was crazy, but really still nobody even really cared. And then there was another story that the Department of Defense created a task force to investigate the craft. So like a project, I don't know what they're calling it. It's the
well, it's basically your brand new project. I mean, it's Blue Book, it's Sign, Grudge. It's it's the modern day version of every conspiracy theory we grew up on.
Right. They called the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena.
Yeah.
Task force because they're not UFOs anymore.
Well, it's hard, because that we've added water to the whole equation now, just to confuse the issue. Now we got you can't just look up. You got to look in when you're close to a lake and stuff. So now I believe in UFOs. I will be the last person on Earth to see a UFO because I never look up.
Oh wow!
I just.
That's all I do.
I'm laughing because John always sees stuff and I never see it.
Yeah, she never sees it.
We'll be in the car. He'd be like, did you see that? And I'll be like, no.
We literally had a fireball that like a fireball that could have been a plane that was going to kill us. It was huge. And it's a normal occurrence, but it went right over top of us. And I'm standing there mouth agape and I'm like, oh, did you see that? And she's like, huh? No. She lives in Stacey land, so
I never see it. I thought it was really funny because when all this came out, they started saying that they were going to start calling them unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAPs. So now you can't have ufologists anymore. Now you have to have ufologists. Ufologists, because they're not UFOs anymore.
Okay, new rule, everybody. You cannot use the is that an anagram? You cannot use the initials of anything that uses a silent P or K. In other words, you don't want knowledge. You don't
Right.
you don't want newel posts and stuff like that. And phenomenon does not work because then it leaves out roughly 40% of the country of understanding what you're trying to do. Let's jump over, take a quick commercial break, everybody. We'll be back more. And yes, we are bound to run long tonight because this is so much fun. Everybody, we'll be right back with more Scarefest Television.
TellMeTarot.com. Rare tarot and oracle decks for the discerning enthusiast or collector. Our decks are not for everyone. If you are a rare deck collector, art collector, or simply fall in love with a deck, then we might be for you. Right now, get 10% off your first order just for subscribing to their newsletter. Shipping is just $5.99 in the United States. TellMeTarot.com.
Horror. Movie. Fans. 4. Life. Find us. 4. News. 4. Memes. 4. Life.
Hey, Scarefest fans. This is Joe Lewis, Bonehead Weekly. You ever see a movie and it strikes you so deeply, so profoundly, that you just have a sense of melancholy and sadness after watching it? Here's to The Lodge. It stars Richard Armitage. Alicia Silverstone is in the beginning of it. And Riley Keough, who is the granddaughter of Elvis Presley and who's a fine actress. This mother has 2 children. She's taken them over to their father for the weekend, you suppose. And you surmise that she's very sad. And the father tells the mother that he wants the divorce final because he wants to marry the next woman. She drops the kids off, goes back to her house, sits, takes a drink, and puts a gun in her mouth and blows the back of her head off. That's the first 5-6 minutes of this movie. I'm not really giving anything away. The character is played by Alicia Silverstone. It's a little weird watching Clueless become headless. And then it just gets darker and sadder from there. This isn't your traditional horror film with ghosts and goblins and whatnot. This movie is dread. The best I can compare it to is a Lars Van Trier film, and it's actually made by 2 filmmakers who are from Scandinavia, so that kind of makes sense. If you've ever seen Melancholia, Antichrist, Dogville, any of those Lars Van Trier films, The House That Jack Built, and you've ever felt, you know what I mean, oh my God, what I just put myself through, but it's an experience, then The Lodge is for you. Then I like The Lodge. Yes. Will I ever watch The Lodge again? No. I am 42 years old and it is sad. And I don't know that I want to be that sad. I don't know that I want to feel that much melancholy or that much distress. The closest thing that this had a visceral impact on me, and the closest thing that's done that in a long time, I feel would probably be Martyrs, not the American bastardization, the original version. They blow their brains out. She blows her brains out. 6 months later, we cut to the father's trying to introduce the girlfriend that he wants to marry to the kids. They hate her. They're religious. They think mommy's went to hell and there's no way she can go to heaven. Let's add another layer onto that. He decides, because he's a real shitty dad, that they should go up to their lodge, their winter home, before Christmas and stay with her for a few days while he goes to get some work done, and they can bond, synergy, and become better friends. And maybe they can learn to accept her, even though she's the other side piece that he left their mother for, that blew her brains out. Now they think she can't go to heaven because they're very religious. You still interested in seeing The Lodge? So once they get there, you find out that she was part of a cult. Yeah, I know. Terrible father, right? My new girlfriend was part of this religious cult on top of them already being religious. I mentioned that. And I'm going to leave them here with my kids, and I'm not going to be around, and there's snow everywhere and not a vehicle. Leaves them there, and she starts to experience things, starts to see things, things start to disappear. What's going on? If I talk too much from this point forward, it ruins the movie. The movie has dread. You feel it. You feel the cold. You feel the dread. It's soul crushing. It's a visceral experience. So any movie that can cause that kind of experience is a good thing. Any movie that can make you feel a certain way, that's a good thing, right? That we get a reaction. The issue is that I don't know that I never need to need that reaction again. I like Lars Van Trier's. I will never watch Antichrist again, probably. I will probably never watch Melancholia. I may someday try to delve back into Dogville. These movies have an existential dread. What are we? What are we made of? Where are we going next? Life is hard. People die. And it's very heavy. So it's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for your children. But if you enjoy art, this movie is very much an artistic film. If you enjoy art, if you enjoy feeling emotions that aren't necessarily good sometimes, or at least going through an experience, then The Lodge I highly recommend. But I will probably never watch the damn thing again because it's just too depressing. And you're not going to feel good about yourself or humanity once it's over. This has been Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly. Go see that upbeat movie, The Lodge.
And welcome back to Scarefest TV, everyone. We're talking with John and Stacey Edwards. We're doing the Weirdness in Review for 2020, and we've been talking aliens. Take it away, kids.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put a story in here. And this is a new story, but it technically is 2020 because it came out a couple of days ago.
Breaking news.
But it goes along with the whole Pentagon task force. And this is about the COVID bill that they just passed, the one that was 5,593 pages long that clearly nobody was able to read because it passed very quickly. But apparently in that bill, there was a 180-day countdown for the Pentagon to make their UFO disclosures. And that's something that they expected the task force to do, was to brief the government on what they've been hearing and finding and seeing.
Yeah, so that's really neat because they just kind of snuck that in. I don't think that was in the deliberation stage beforehand.
Right. I don't think anybody had any say on that. They were like, look, you got 6 months and we need to hear about it.
Yeah.
Hear about what you're doing.
Yeah. Crazy. I mean, if they do it, great. I mean, they've got to do something in 180 days. That's when it happens, right?
I guess so.
Maybe they'll land somewhere and just be like, surprise. I don't know.
I've hooked up with a documentary that fed me into a really cool conspiracy theory, so that what we're being prepped for now is to be anti-alien. All this stuff that's been going on the last year is to get us prepped for when the government tells us the aliens are invading.
Right.
We must destroy the aliens, even though they come with like a bouquet of flowers and chocolates. They just no. If they land on the White House lawn, we will nuke Washington. And actually, they explained it really, really well. I think I'm going to talk about it on one of my shows here pretty soon, after I watch the documentary again, so I don't forget anything.
Like Alt Mars.
Well, they haven't, and John and I talk about that too. How they are conditioning us with the news, like all these stories about aliens and finding life and things like that. You know, we joke and call it slow disclosure, but what it really is, the reason they don't make a big deal about the stories is because they're trying to make them seem like ordinary stories. But there's a lot of them, and they just slip them in there and they talk about it like it's no big deal, so that eventually everybody's just used to, oh yeah, that's just, they might find life on this planet.
It's like no big deal. Any other for-profit organization, you do market research and you have, test subjects and whatnot. And when we started doing the show a decade ago, it was very rare to have some of the kind of stories we have regular now, such as, think about that, 10 years ago, they didn't think there was water on Mars. They didn't think there was, Earth-like planets. They didn't think, and that's just an everyday thing. There was no such thing as FRBs or mysterious booms, or other than like the Seneca guns.
There's absolutely no possibility there was life on other planets.
Yeah,
for any reason.
and now that's a given. And then when you look at antiquity, they were like, no, there's no way that we had people that were, in North America at this time period, and before they came across the land bridge. And now they're like, well, we've got these bones, and they were obviously playing Uno 130,000 years ago. So I don't know. It's all changed rather quickly.
It has. So, well, we'll stick with the alien thing for a minute, because we did have this story recently, and it's one of my favorites from this past year, and it's the one about the former Israeli space security chief.
God bless this guy.
Doing an interview with like some kind of Jewish paper, and he made some pretty outlandish comments, and he claims that space aliens have reached an agreement with the U.S. government to stay quiet about the experiments that they're conducting on Earth, and as well as the secret base that they have on Mars that we know about, and that we have apparently been sending astronauts to for years, and that
on our dime or theirs.
I have no idea.
Totally on ours.
Yeah, it has to be on ours. And that the aliens have asked not to announce that they're here because the aliens feel that humanity's not ready to accept them yet. But he also talked about the Galactic Federation, that's a real thing. And he claims that President Trump was on the verge of revealing the existence of aliens, but that's when the Galactic Federation stepped in and said, yeah, let the people calm down first, and they don't want to start mass hysteria.
Wait, let the people calm down first?
Yeah, like apparently we're too crazy or out of our minds right now.
Okay,
we're not ready to
arguably
accept
we are,
humanities.
but actually, I think
I don't know where they get that impression.
I think that, in other words, this would be a cute diversion. This would be something other than, the apocalypse, for example.
Right.
This is actually above. This is okay. We're here, and this would actually be due to that would be good news. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think we could really use it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's weird though, because this story I was so thankful. It was a really slow news week, and then Major Crackpot came out here and really just laid it out there. And this guy is not he's not living in an Israeli trailer park, with his 7 sisters. This guy was a member of the government.
He was the space security chief, the Israeli space security.
Yeah, but he's at such an advanced age, if I remember correctly, that he probably doesn't check when he backs up. He's all his F's are gone.
Well, he basically said that in the article, because he was like 87, or he is 87. I shouldn't say was, because I'm sure he's still around. But he claims, if I had said this a few years ago, people would have tried to commit me. He's like, but now, the conversation's changed. People's thinking has changed. And he's like, I have all my awards. I've done everything I need to do.
But his job title. But his job title. Space security chief.
Security chief.
Are we just overlooking the whole word space in that?
He's the ex-space security chief. He doesn't do that job anymore.
Yeah, but regardless, there is a space security chief.
Right. I got you.
And it's not like Israel was known for their sending people to the moon.
No, their prowess in rockets is not a very good story. Like, I think the last time they, blew one up trying to go up there was a couple of years ago. But here's the weird thing. Okay, that came out in early December, and then we find out that on page 487-2, paragraph 7, verse 3, that we have this thing about the disclosure in 180 days. So that would be, the President Trump putting that in there. Here's this guy in December saying, well, he was wanting to get it out there. What a great, going away present.
Right. If he just came out and said it.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a danger that the aliens, after we sign this Galactic Federation treaty, though, like read history books, like 1800s, mid 1800s, when totally jacked them, the American Indian.
Yeah, I think that they're beyond that. Probably they
Right.
we've probably been that toy for them. Let's just say they are here. There is a great chance. I mean, if you look at the stories from Bob Lazar, even where he says that, and everything, he just, as much as I don't want to believe him, the more I watch that guy, the more I believe him. And after all these years, but he even says straight faced, well, one of the UFOs we worked on reverse engineered was actually from an archaeological dig site, and it was ancient. So, if you look at it like that, I mean, they've probably been interfering back and forth, and
I'm sure
they really showed up big time right after we, played with our nukes for the first time.
I actually, people like the whole premise of that other conspiracy theory was that they're going to try to convince us that they want to take us over and conquer us and all that. I'm going to look at it from the alien side, and if I really wanted to do something to this earth, steal resources, whatever the hell you motivate, eat people, I don't care. Wouldn't you have done it like 1940 at the latest? I mean, they had to see that coming. They, and so before they completely armed themselves, maybe this would be a good time. So I'm not worried about aliens.
Yeah, no, I believe if there is a treaty with the aliens, I believe there almost has to be. If you believe there is extraterrestrials out there, you believe any of the stories that have happened, I think that you almost have to, and just looking at it with common sense. Okay, so when there's a UFO sighting and it's a credible UFO sighting, we don't instantly scramble all the jets. Everything doesn't lock down. We don't see it on all the news channels. Now, if there's a biplane that somebody doesn't have registered, there's going to be everybody is going to be coming in there. Why is that?
Or a strange man flying in a jetpack.
Yeah.
You're going to get the FBI in there.
Exactly. I think if there was or is a standing order that comes up, and all these guys, all of them always say, even the ones they said, no, that was real, we didn't know what that was, they all get calmed down from somebody up above them. They're always just like, from the very first time, that's ever happened, with Roswell and all this, they, get told, hey, shut up. You don't need to talk about this. So I think if there was a standing order that we had some kind of agreement we shouldn't have, and we probably allowed them to do things that we shouldn't have, and it's not easy to disclose that. Like, I did let them eat your grandma. And we knew that she didn't have long left.
Yes, but okay, presumably, in other words, once we get rid of a few more of the deep state bureaucrats, in other words, time heals all wounds, and you can always blame it on the other guy. Once you're the new Israeli space security chief, then you can say, well, that guy was jacked up. Yeah, it's, So that line of thought, eventually somebody has to testicle up and do it. And so in other words, I think you can get away with it from that standpoint by saying, hey, yeah, we really jacked this up before I went to work here.
Right. Absolutely. You're right.
I agree.
You're right.
They should listen to you.
Yeah. Hopefully they are.
I had a nickel every time somebody said that.
Are.
I'd be, well, where the hell are all these nickels coming from? Everybody, we're going to take another commercial break, and then we're going to keep running. And after this commercial break, I will announce your celebrity announcement for 2021.
Oh, I'm excited.
Spirit Mechanics is here to help. Their background includes many different specialties across the metaphysical spectrum, including alchemy, shamanism, Celtic witchcraft, angelic magic, astral travel, and more.
With over 30 years combined experience in the group, you can be confident in their ability to help. If there is a question you have that you cannot answer, they will do their best to assist you.
Metaphysics can be intimidating, confusing, and unfortunately, abused. Spirit Mechanics takes pride in being selfless in the pursuit of helping others, being humble and honest with their clients about their questions, And lastly, maintaining a professional and personable atmosphere. They want you to feel as you are coming to a close friend, and they will do everything in their power to make you comfortable and safe.
Come visit the Universal Energy Expo, May 1st and 2nd at the Northern Kentucky Convention Center. Meet special guests, Shaman Coyote Chris Sutton and Psychic Southern Gypsies. Over 100 readers, healers, and vendors. Admission also includes door prizes, workshops, and all seminars. The Universal Energy Expo. Come curious, leave enlightened.
Not once, but twice, one of America's most prolific serial killers escaped from capture. And this week, back in 1977, Ted Bundy made his final escape from captivity, and it would have dire consequences. After faking his sleeping body in his cell, Bundy crawled through the crawl space of his Colorado Springs jail and into freedom. Over the next month and a half, Bundy traveled across the Midwest before landing in Tallahassee, Florida. While in Tallahassee, Bundy broke into the Chi Omega sorority house and attacked 4 women, killing 2. Less than a month later, he kidnapped and murdered 12-year-old Kimberly Leach, and Kimberly would become his last known victim. Bundy was apprehended by Florida police a little over a week later, and his reign of terror was done. But Bundy would leave behind a deadly legacy that haunts us all to this day. Without further ado, Mr. Bill Moseley will be coming to Scarefest 2021. COVID finally cleaned out his schedule enough that we could book him. So basically, that's the whole story. He's always had a conflict, but we have signed him. He is our first new guest announcement for 2021. Next week on Scarefest Television, we'll have the lovely Patty Mullen from Frank and Hooker fame. And also Doom Asylum, which I was watching today. I didn't finish Doom Asylum. No spoilers in the chat room, please. But Patty Mullen will be our guest next week. After Patty's appearance, we have the Scarefest TV after party, and Beverly McChesney will be doing our after party, a psychic gallery. To get in on that, you go to patreon.com/scarefestradio. And don't forget, premiering January 4th. Chip Divine, Spiritual Help and Inspirational Talk with guest Terry Tillett, Plant Psychic. Kicking that little one off. And then a week later, we have Paranormal Filler Encore coming up. That's what I renamed it so that you can tell the old show from the new show. Episode 1, Connor Biddle and India Hopwood of Paranormal Encounters will be the guests. And we've already arranged stuff for later in the month after that. We've got the Mystical Show should premiere the week after that. And the last week of the month where Kyle Cobb's going to come on and do one of his seminars for us. So we got stuff going on there. All right, back to the news with my guests, John and Stacey Edwards. 2020 Weirdness interview.
I got to say first, Bill Moseley is the best guest ever.
I can't wait to see him.
He's so cool, man. 2010. Was it 2010 or 2011?
I think it was 2010.
2010. Repo is our daughter's favorite movie ever, and still is, and I love it too. And I'm not a big fan of musicals. I'd rather slowly kill myself with a spoon. And but I love his character, and most people like him obviously for other stuff, but that's he was so nice, and he actually took the iPad back in the
I went over to the table because she didn't get to go to Scarefest with us that year, and so he talked to her over on Skype on the iPad and did like the voice for her and stuff. It was really cool. Yeah,
back in the early days of Skype when we
or FaceTime or something. We were
Yeah.
talking. I don't know.
Anyway.
All right. So let's continue on with our strange news. And this is sort of a newer story as well. I think this one was from December, and it was the strange signal that was detected from Proxima Centauri. And I think they even likened it kind of to the wow signal. Like it was really something spectacular. And they detected it from the 64-meter Parkes radio telescope in Australia. And it picked up this faint signal. Now, they picked up the signal last year, but they've just started digging into the data from what they've gotten off that signal. And it was an intern, a Breakthrough Listen Project intern, Shane Smith, and he was going through the data and he found this narrowband transmission at a particular frequency. And even though they weren't sure exactly when they caught it, it showed up during 5 30-minute periods over several days. So it wasn't just like a one and done. Like every time they pointed the telescope at Proxima Centauri, they got this signal. They picked it up.
So basically you're telling us they've sent a text message and a year later we're just now getting around to reading our text messages.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've got so much to go through, and it's always going to be an intern doing it because, if you've got the degree, you're not going to be sitting there waiting for that.
Yeah.
You're the one playing golf just like Independence Day, like sitting there inside the place. But the crazy thing about this, and for people who don't know out there, and there might be one or two who don't know what the wow signal was, that's what they named it because of the famous picture of the paper from where they had the reading of this signal that came across at SETI. They just wrote wow. I've always thought they wrote mom, and we're just looking at it wrong.
Upside down. Someone's like, I got to call my mom later.
Yeah, that would be the first thing I would have thought. Would have been like, mommy. No, but the wow signal, 1977. You can imagine how excited they were. They probably just seen Star Wars for the 17th time, and then they're working at SETI, and this signal comes across.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had one since, folks. It's went that long that we haven't had one. So
we haven't found one since.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
When he was looking at where it was coming from, they narrowed it down to like a 16-foot diameter circle area of where. So they're pretty sure that it's coming from that area. And that is, the Proxima Alpha and Proxima Centauri. That's a lot of conspiracy theories about aliens.
Proxima Centauri.
Yeah, in that area. So
okay, now when you say 16 foot, you're talking on our end and not the other end, right?
It does not specify, but I feel like, yes, that means on our end. I don't know how they do
I was going to say, space seems, what is it they say? Mm-hmm. That would be an awful lot of wasted space. Well, we know which 16 foot matters right now. So, okay.
Oh, God, good point. But, the crazy thing there is
commas matter.
Okay. Yeah, this signal coming from here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can you imagine? Okay, this is an alien race, and there's some kid up there, some alien teenager, who they've told a million times, whatever you do not point your me pad toward, or it's some jackass. It's right. Their version of Smithers sitting in the control room, just like, well, this one time won't hurt anything. I like earth porn, and they're like, hold on a second. So anyway,
you can tell that they found something that they think might be something, because there's been articles since then saying, well, this probably isn't aliens. It's probably just something human made.
Look,
no, this is most likely not alien. They won't come right out and say that it's human.
To Wes's point,
mm-hmm.
another story that should have been gigantic.
Mm-hmm. That
wow signal story was so huge we still talk about it.
Yes.
So here's another one, and people don't even know about this story.
No, I had not heard it. I will, in full disclosure. Speaking of disclosure, question from the chat room. Where'd it go? So, will we see alien contact of any kind in this decade, in our opinion? And follow up: will Elon Musk have anything to do with it?
I hope so.
John loves Elon Musk.
Yeah, I love crazy people, and it makes me feel better about myself.
Any man that creates blow torches and sells them online to just, like flamethrowers. They're flamethrowers. He made flamethrowers and sold them online. He has my respect.
I like the fact he dug tunnels just to make it faster to get to work. That's the kind of money I need. It's just like you get mad that one day and you're like, you know what? I've got an underground machine that can move the earth.
I'd like to be rich enough that I could lose my wallet and not cry. That would,
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Or check my bank account before I go to the grocery store.
I mean, to steal an old joke, Elon Musk could like lose his wallet and go, oh, damn it, that had $1 million in it. Oh, well.
Yeah, exactly. To answer the question, I do believe that as Stacey gave me a little credit there. It's totally been Stacey's theory since about 2014 that she believes that, and she never gets on the woo stuff. That's me. I'm the one that lives on these sites and these conspiracies, and I'm on all the forums. All the weirdos contact me. Sorry, weirdos. I know you're probably listening right now. I love you. I'm one too. But Stacey is the Hallmark Christmas movies person. She doesn't ever get into this. That's what makes her the straight one. And she's the one that came up. She goes, this is too obvious. They're totally conditioning us to have us ready for this. They're slowly removing religion out of everything. And, they're making this, no matter what religion you are, if you look at like the Catholic Church, they've done, and they've done enough to damage themselves. Don't get me wrong, but there's one thing after another, and then it comes to people, and I'm not going to be political, but there's a certain, like they'll use that against people in a political race. Oh, well, that person believes in God.
That'll eventually, yeah. The only thing, there are enough smart people, hopefully, that believe in God that at least we can start name dropping and dull that. But no, I agree with you. That's actually where it's going. And the funny part is, as far as religion versus aliens, that was always the excuse that was thrown around for not disclosing everything. Is it would just totally fuck up religion. Mm-hmm. And incidentally, I have to drop the F-bomb at least once per episode so that YouTube doesn't hijack my ads on the channel. But the thing about it is how small of your vision of a god does it have to be to not think that he could have invented other people?
Yeah,
I agree. I think that the Catholic Church, I think the Pope even came out though and was like, if we find aliens, they're fine. They can be, they're Catholic. It's good. It's whatever.
That's because they want membership. They're like, if you've blown up one school, it's fine. Look, we understand we all have bad days, right? It's a lot more Hail Marys. It's going to take like a year, but we'll still take you. No, they have done a lot to discredit that. And like I said, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, especially on, I wouldn't do that to you on your show, but it has.
They'll still love me.
Yeah. It's become a dirty word though. It really has. And I growing up in this country, I would have never imagined, seeing it where if you actually claim, oh yeah, I'm a Christian. I go to church. Oh, we better not have that person deciding laws. It's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Now that was a little jacked up thing you're talking about.
Yeah, it's strange. It's just strange. And listen, that's completely being apolitical. I'm just saying, no matter what side you're on, you have to admit, what it was like 30 years ago compared to now. So,
well, I do happen to think that they're going to sometime in the next decade disclose aliens for one of two reasons. Either they're going to let us know that they're real because they're real, or they're going to let us know that they're real so that they can false flag an alien invasion, like you were saying.
Yes, that was
for their own. Yeah, for their own benefit. So they're moving towards something. It's just
that's a whole nother school of thought. They've captured these alien ships. The aliens have no intention of invading us, but we're going to fly our spaceships into the Washington Monument and jack things up.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Anything to keep control of the masses, because if people are scared, then immediately they're just going to let the government do whatever.
It's the famous Reagan speech in the 80s when he's like, imagine how we would all come together.
Yes.
If we faced a presence from outside this world, we would all join together. And everybody's like, yeah, we probably would. And I agree. So and like you said, false flag. So if you blew up a big building that a lot of people were in, everybody probably come together.
Probably.
And okay, let's move on
Okay.
quickly.
So let's go on to something else. So let's get off the alien thing for a little bit and let's talk about the weird and crazy monoliths that popped up at the end of the year this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one in Utah was the first one. They found it when they were looking for bighorn sheep.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
They were counting bighorn sheep and they just saw this strange silvery monolith standing. No one had any idea where it came from, what it was for. Nothing.
Well, as I stated on Facebook, my only thing was I was really afraid that once it disappeared, that it meant someone had tore the tag off of 2020 and now we can't return the bitch. So,
well, one thing about this story is, once the first one showed up, then they started showing up everywhere. It was like a copycat kind of thing, Romania, California, Nevada, the Netherlands. I mean, all over the world, England. You couldn't go online in the news for like a couple of weeks without seeing where the new monolith was. But the one in Utah, then after, I don't remember how long, a week or so, it disappeared and some guys had come and torn it down and taken it away. And then this artist group came out and took credit for having installed it. And the way they took credit was like, yeah, we did that. It's an art installation. And then they put up some pictures of some guy making a monolith to prove that they were the ones that did it, which I don't really think proves anything. Anybody could show pictures of you making the monolith. Like
I'm not sold on the monolith story, to be honest. And the reason is all the reports I saw of it said this would not be that hard to make in your garage.
Right. I totally think somebody did it. Like, I think it's an art installation, but I'm not so sure that those people are the ones that did it.
I think the real conspiracy here, everybody's overlooking. I don't think we have government agents out counting bighorn sheep.
Trust me.
Is that a real job?
It's a real job. Yeah, it's. I mean, yeah. There's people. You cannot think of anything in your mind that if you could probably dig deep enough, you cannot find a government person getting paid an astronomical salary to do for no good reason. I mean, somebody found a line item somewhere about the toilets. It will identify you by your anus. This is a real study.
I like to think of my anus as a changing, breathable thing. It's very.
They say it's like fingerprints, buddy.
Yeah, there's no way. I've blown my fingerprints away many more.
So yeah, if you can go to the I actually think that the secret to getting a government grant is to go in with the most ridiculous fucking idea that you possibly can, and sell it that way. And if they say, "Well, that's crazy," well, what if we just do toilet anuses? Then much better. And now, here's my money.
Let's not discount it. I mean, what happens if somebody gets murdered and they're decapitated, or there's no fingerprints? There's absolutely no way to identify them except their anus.
Oh my God!
What kind of murderer goes to the toilet? See, you'd have to have the toilet. I think the question is. I'm assuming this is for surveillance purposes. So yes, if you murder somebody and they can't find you, it's like looking for your cell phone. They'll have a little camera. But when did they take the first picture? That's what I want to know. Now, me personally, I've got satellite images of me peeing all over the countryside. So you see how I'll be identified.
I'm worried about the fact that that's probably why the aliens take the cow anus. It's on
for research.
On every other planet, they check your butthole. And that's how they catch you. So that's a bunch of serial killers from Mars. And they're like, let's go. They're close enough to us. Let's go get those, cow butts.
That's a great place to put a commercial break. I am sure Blue Leaf will love following up on that insightful little tidbit of wisdom there. Everybody, we'll be right back with more Scarefest TV. Don't worry, we're running long.
Everyone is talking about CBD oil, and it seems like almost everyone is using it. The research is ongoing, but the apparent health benefits are overwhelming. If you're going to use CBD products, though, what brand should you buy? First, find out where the hemp was grown. Imports are flooding the market. How potent is it? Look for a brand that plainly states its concentration on the label. And look for full-spectrum CBD. This means the oil contains CBD and all the other cannabinoids, terpenes, and nutrients that are found in the entire cannabis plant. Look for Blue Leaf CBD oil. Blue Leaf Naturals is a Kentucky proud company. They use only Kentucky-grown hemp, supporting Kentucky farmers and businesses. Visit their website at blueleafcbd.com now and use the code SMILE at checkout for free shipping. Mama Ruby offers fun vendor-based events that focus primarily on the metaphysical and spiritual aspects of our lives. Well, 2020 didn't go as planned, to say the least. Since Mama Ruby's can't bring the vendors to you in person, they still encourage you to support them online. For links to these and other outstanding artists, craftspeople, vendors, and psychics, visit mamarubies.com and click shop. And welcome back to Scarefest Television, everybody. And during the commercial break, we were, of course, looking on jobs.gov to see if they were, in fact, taking applications for anus identification, and come to find out I'm not qualified.
Why are you not qualified?
I have bad eyes, and nobody wants to get that close. So
I have terrible eyesight, so
but and the other thing was we were talking about the interns having to go through all that data from the satellites. Can you imagine that poor guy that has to go through there and look at anus pictures? And what if they actually start using those for crimes, and like you have to identify people by anyway, we're moving on now from the
they'd be like, sir, you're in deep shit. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wow. Okay, so some more stories from the past year.
Some more stories.
Not s'more stories. Some more stories. We talked a lot about cattle mutilations this past year. Now, this is something that started at the end of 2019 and just continued through the year, mostly in Oregon. There's been a huge amount of cattle mutilations in Oregon, to the point that there was an article that we talked about where they were thinking about starting a task force.
Yeah.
To investigate all the cattle mutilations. And it started, I think in 2019, it started with this one ranch. I mean, a huge ranch. That's the size of Chicago, I think is how big the ranch was. And they had 5 young bulls that were slain. And it's all the strange stuff. You know, the tongues removed, genitals removed, blood was removed, and scavengers won't eat them.
Yeah.
Like they're just being left alone completely.
No signs of anything around them. And, you know, that's really crazy. That's something to ask Wes, though. I mean, you know, you've seen these cattle mutilation stories and whatnot. What's your take on it?
My take, I don't know who's doing it. I do not believe that, by and large, because they always try to blame it on predators and stuff, and they say, oh, buzzard will eat their eyeballs. Yeah, but they won't eat their tongue. They, in other words, the parts of the body that are missing are unusual, because most scavengers start at the meat and work their way down to the anus, and instead of vice versa. So I'm just going to put that there. So I never could wrap my head around, though, in all seriousness, despite the weirdness that we've talked about, an alien having that much interest in a cow, unless it does have to do with medical research on their end. Who knows? Maybe maybe they have cow DNA. Maybe that's the animal they found that has the closest DNA to theirs, and so they take cow tongues to treat sore throats. I don't know.
I mean,
if I had to guess, because we're close enough to the cows as far as being able to carry a human, like if they were making hybrids, let's just go off the deep end here. if we really were making hybrids, or they were, and they were getting my little specimen cup and, you know, mixing it with theirs, I think that it looks like they would take pigs, though.
I would think so,
but I don't know. That's been theorized before. I still don't know why they would need the tongue and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, but there was a ton, mostly in Oregon. I'm sorry, I thought you were going to say something.
No, I was just thinking about the whole pig thing. Hey, it's 6 of one, 12 of the, or half a dozen of the other. 6 of one, 12 of the other. Let's
Something
fuck
like
up
that.
the metaphor. Like I said, I've not. I guess you could say I've not followed the cattle mutilation stories that closely. I mean, I'll see a documentary on them that covers them for like 10 minutes every now and then. It's weird as shit. And now you see, I guess this is the latest wave of them you're talking about, because we were talking about these things back in the 70s.
Yeah. It's just weird for them to show up in the news so much.
Yeah, it's
like normally we get one every couple of years, or the news doesn't normally cover that kind of thing. And it just so happened that there was all these in Oregon. There was one that was in July of last year where the cow was upright with its legs tucked underneath it, but it was dead and had all of its parts removed, and was just really strange. And again, the scavengers won't eat it. Like even if birds land on it or whatever, they'll just fly away. They won't touch the meat.
Yeah, it's just a flap, and we've seen it a couple of times. This one was really bad. 2 years ago, all over the world, we had a 3-week period where there was not vampires, but like vampirism. There was animals drained completely of blood. Without any signs of any trauma, without any signs of anything. And it was everywhere. No one pieced that together, but because we do this news, it was like story after story in these small little towns. And from doing this, you were asking earlier about, what our show is. One of the cool things after doing it for this long, just like you guys have a bunch of friends that you've made through the show, I'm sure, we have a lot of people send us stories from their local stations,
their local papers. Yeah.
And like the monolith story, for instance, I had the monolith story 3 days before I ever seen it anywhere. And because I went right to Stacey, I was like, we got to do a show right now, and she had curlers in her hair. So she's like, no.
It's like you said, that one was a few years ago, but it was like they would only find puncture wounds on the legs.
Yeah.
And all the blood would be drained, and it wasn't cows. I mean, sometimes it was cows, but sometimes it was all different kinds of animals. I think it was llamas once.
Yeah, it just
really weird.
It just went away. It just stopped happening. And it seems like every couple of years we have something like this. But the cattle thing was really strange this time because there was quite a few.
Yeah, and they had they always say the same things, like, well, maybe it's people using it for witchcraft or black magic rituals, but they're not finding any evidence, not even of people. Like, you would think people would leave, footprints or tire tracks or some kind of evidence that they were there.
Yeah.
So,
well, now I will. I'm not going against the lack of evidence that it's humans, but I will say, as far as what people have learned to do on the internet, yeah, the apocalypse can't get here quick enough. I literally had someone. I did a paranormal case where the girl's boyfriend came over and Googled how to summon a demon. That's that's the kind of stuff that goes on. So yeah, I can see that side of the excuse. But once again, depending on where it happens and everything, a lack of physical evidence. Now, let's go off the deep end again. What if this is actual genetic research being done by aliens who are the Minotaurs from ancient Greek mythology?
Oh, man.
Well, there you go. I think you've solved it, Wes.
I stole it from the chat room, incidentally. But I took a bad pun and made it into something.
I'd be super happy because I got the Greek foot. I just found out. I just watched like a 30-minute video. I lost 30 minutes off my life of the different feet because Stacey has Roman feet.
This is my life. I was sleeping and he nudges me awake and he goes, "Let me see your feet." It's just like, what?
You didn't have to tell him that.
He's like, "Hold your feet up." And so I had to hold my feet up in front of the TV so he could see them.
So do they identify Greek feet by your Achilles heel?
Oh, wow. We're done, folks.
We need like the little.
Yeah.
I got rid of the soundboard. It was hard to keep up with.
No, I don't like Romans and traditionally, and I know they stole all the stuff from the Greeks. So that made me happy that I had the Greek feet and she had the Roman. It made sense. So moving on.
Yeah. Okay. Continuing. Just sort of a strange story from this last year. When we were doing all those cattle mutilation stories, they started talking about these horse mutilations that were going on in France. Apparently, France is having this flap of horse mutilations, but they're definitely not alien related because they claim to be incidents where people are going in and slashing at horses, like cutting off their ears, gouging out their eyes, mutilating their genitals. But it seems like knife attacks, and people have seen people like running away to their cars and stuff. And they're investigating 200 cases of this.
Oh my God.
In France. And they have no idea what the motive is unless they're trying to take bits of the horses for, I don't know, I have no idea what, or if it's some sort of internet challenge or whatever. But that is what France is dealing with. They don't get the cattle mutilations. They get the horse mutilation. I'm telling you.
No, I think I blocked that one from my mind just because those poor horses.
Yeah, I think.
Why did you even bring that one up? Why did you bring that to the story?
It was
a
weird.
good follow-up to the cat.
Oh.
It's in your list. Did you not peruse?
I'm sorry there weren't enough llama mutilations to keep John's interest.
I know.
Hey, nobody cares about the alpacas. All right.
They're furry.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So other things that happened this past year, Forrest Fenn's treasure was found.
Woohoo!
Of
I
course,
even
also
have no point of reference for this whatsoever. Please explain.
Okay. So Forrest Fenn was this author that years ago he thought that he was dying because he got cancer. And so he owned this jewelry store. And so he packed this chest full of all this stuff. I think it was supposed to be worth $1 million. And he hid it somewhere in the Rocky Mountains. And then he wrote this long poem and published this book called The Thrill of the Chase. It was and it included the mysterious 24-line poem that if you solved it, you could find the treasure. And that was back in 2010. So this has been going on for 10 years. People have spent 10 years, have obsessed on this. People have died.
There's been documentaries.
Trying to get it.
It's been featured on several shows. It's been other books written about the book.
Mm-hmm.
It's consumed people's lives, ruined marriages.
Mm-hmm. People quit their jobs.
Yeah.
And we even did a couple stories this past year of people having to be rescued from certain areas because they were searching for the treasure and they would get stuck. And people have died. Several people have died.
That's
just
what,
on the hunt.
Before it was found, I said that treasure is now got protectors, because just like in the old days, you want something to protect it, you just put somebody in there and kill them with the treasure, and their ghost supposedly would take care of it. But
yeah, it says in this article that at least 5 people lost their lives in the process of looking for it. So a couple months ago, it wasn't that long ago, a 32-year-old Michigan native and a medical student is the person that finally found it. And when he found the treasure, he wanted to remain anonymous because he knew that because so many people had been searching for it and looking for it, that he was going to take some animosity, some hatred, for finding it.
He's more likely to be in the actual phone book. Nobody would have to solve a poem to find his ass.
Exactly. And when he found it, he immediately he contacted Forrest Fenn. He immediately drove and let Forrest authenticate it and let everyone know that it had been found, because that was the right thing to do, so people would stop looking for it. And he was going to remain anonymous. And to this day, he still hasn't given away the exact location of where he found it. But they did have to release who he was. His name is Jack Stoof. He's from Michigan. He's a medical student.
Because somebody sued him.
Yeah. So somebody after Forrest Fenn passed away, Forrest Fenn's family knew who had found the treasure. And this woman claimed that whoever found it hacked all of her messages and her riddle answers and solved it because he stole it from her. It turns out she had the wrong answer.
Yeah,
so
there's
that's
always
not really
that
true.
one crazy.
Yeah, but she's still trying to sue him anyway. So he got a hold of a reporter and he's like, look, I'm on this lawsuit. My name's going to come out anyway. Just go ahead. And he let this reporter release who he was and tell his side of the story before it got out in the lawsuit.
Well, I think the beautiful part of this story, well, not beautiful, but Forrest Fenn was alive this entire time until somebody found the treasure.
Mm-hmm. And then, it wasn't even he found the treasure in June, and I think Forrest Fenn just passed away a few months ago. So it's
like sometimes you hear that with couples too, right? I mean, it's like, I really believe the will to live is a huge thing. Like he was really wanting somebody to find that.
Yeah, he was going to wait around until they did. So it was found, and everybody that's wasted 10 years on it, I can't imagine.
I would cry about wasting 10 years, but I know that there's a TV series called The Treasure of Oak Island where people have been digging the same damned hole for like 300 years.
We call that the digging show.
Yes, it's the digger.
We call it the digging. We're like, let's watch the digging show.
And the funny part is, hire one Kentucky coal mining company to come down there, and there won't even be a damned island. They will just scoop the whole damn thing up, run it through a shaker, and
yeah, I mean, that's what I always say. Every time we hear something about, well, they found this one woolly mammoth bone, and they had to halt production of the hotel. My whole thing is like, yeah. So if that was me, the next day they'd be like, crazy thing, where they're building that new hotel. They found half a woolly mammoth down the street in the gutter.
It's just laying there. We don't know what happened.
The damnedest thing.
I'll just put it out there. In Kentucky, we have dump trucks that you could put Oak Island in the dump truck. That's yeah. So
John's theory also is if you want to know what's inside it, just blow it up. Like he's a proponent for stuffing the pyramids with dynamite and blowing them.
No, not the pyramids, John.
Yeah, dude. I would lop the top of it off and just do it. Just look in it. We need to see what's there.
I will say the fun thing to do would be to chat all these people and say, no, people can totally build those. Say, okay, move it over there.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Just one stone at a time.
And they get really mad about it. By them, I mean the Egyptians, the current. They didn't build it, and there's no way. I seen what they built. They built the one that looks like when I used to stack my turds as a toddler, right down the road. And why is it that the older the pyramid, the better built it is? And the newer the pyramid, the crappier it is. Well, that's because it's lost knowledge, and they kept trying to mimic what they've seen. So, and that's just a fact. I mean, the more recent the pyramid, the crappier the construction.
Yes, definitely. All right, so let's go on to a different story. And this is one of John's favorites. I had to include this in the list because this is something John goes on and on about. And it's about the overwhelming evidence that came out this past year that pushes humans back to being in the Americas more than 30,000 years ago. So, they claim that humans, came over on the bridge and it's not been that long, but there is a cave in Mexico. It's called, and I'm going to butcher this, but it's called Chiquihuite Cave. I think that's right. It's a high altitude rock shelter in central Mexico. And archaeologists found nearly 2,000 stone tools that suggest that the cave was used by people for at least 20,000 years. So it suggests that they were living there as long as 33,000 years ago.
Wait.
Which is much earlier.
They found 20,000 years
15.
worth of tools?
That's what it says, that they that the cave had been used for at least 20,000 years, because they found nearly 2,000 tools. So I guess those tools
there we go. Okay, now I understand.
Yeah, but it was from about that time period.
See, the thing is, to me, that's based on just random shit that I find on documentaries that are really, really boring. The whole land masses thing, I've been watching these things where, it used to be this continent. I found out there was a whole other continent the other night, not even counting, what was it, Pangea they used to call it? There was another one. It included the Mediterranean, all this stuff. So who knows how much we've scooted around in the last God knows how long. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like the old maps of Antarctica from the 1500s.
That is cool.
Yeah,
when you find a map of someplace before it was discovered.
Yeah, and accurate too. I mean, now they can go and it's accurate down to,
yeah, we just were listening to that thing about the Antarctica map where they got the land exactly right, but the land's under like a mile thick ice block.
Yeah.
But on the map from way, way long ago, they have the coastline like almost perfect.
Yeah, but to Wes's point, that one of the theories on that is that we do have this displacement that happens where, it can drift and substantially. And, at one time, and they think that maybe it was up a little bit further above that whatever. Regardless.
30,000 years ago, it might not have been a good canoe ride from
Russia,
Who
knows, man?
Well,
you know?
there was also this other article that came out just last month, just in December. And it was a whole article talking about how 3 years ago, a team of archaeologists in the United States found a collection of mastodon bones in this in the suburbs of San Diego. It's like the most controversial dig, I think, right now, because the mastodon bones look like they've been worked with tools.
Yeah, they opened them up, cracked them for the marrow, and then used them for tools.
Right. And the way they were placed, I think they were placed in specific ways that looked like they had been built up and things like that. And this would mean that there were humans in that area like over 100,000 years ago. Like 130,000, because of the way these particular bones, how old they are, and the
fact that they left them in the shape of a penis. They're like, it has to be humans.
It has to be men.
But isn't it a little presumptuous of us as a species to think that? I'm thinking of the whole Ghostbusters saying no human could stack books this way. Couldn't some of the animals have gotten just a little bit smarter, like tree sloths or something might have figured out how to use. In other words, I think it's kind of presumptuous of us to say we are the first, just because we're the only species that use tools, which we're not. Monkeys stick sticks down in anthills. So maybe over the last billion years.
Well, yeah, I mean, we don't know. And plus, there was a giant sloth that went extinct 12,800 years ago in North America. So there you go.
Yeah,
there you go. See.
That's true. They could have took the bones and whacked him against something.
Yeah.
Instead of using a tool.
And stacked them neatly when he was done.
Exactly. You never know.
I say that, and I can say that with all authority, because if you ever look under my coffee table, my dogs have this incredible pile of everything that's loose in our house. Play with it and then dump it under the table. So I don't find that to be that great of a stretch. That some other species made tools, and it could be anything, and you know it's too far back for us to really know. I mean, especially if the very small amounts they find on it, but there is places outside of that find that are much more compelling with the type of things they found, such as the drawings of humans. But it could have been a sloth that really just hated humans. It was just like,
I think the point
I'm going to draw the bastard.
I think the point is that archaeologists, the ones that work at universities and try to keep everything in this neat little time box, are having to admit that maybe that isn't.
They hate it. They want to keep it all in this one time period. They don't want to go back beyond that, and they're having to redo the history books, just like in every part of science. Every year. And that's only been there again last 20 years or so. We've really been having to redo, rethink, reshape every couple of years.
Okay, so since I talked about one of your favorite stories from this past year, I've got to talk about my absolute favorite story from this past year. Now, we had a couple of stories come through about people finding witch bottles. So now, what witch bottles are for this? Yeah, witch bottles. I knew that was coming. How did I know that was coming? And so what witch bottles are they're a form of protection that they used to do back in like the 1600s. And you would take a bottle and you'd fill it with nasty stuff.
They smack you with a bottle.
You put like hair and nails and pee and all kinds of stuff in it. You seal it up and you bury it at your doorstep. And it's supposed to keep witches from coming into your house.
I smell pee.
Yeah, I'm not going in there. It smells disgusting.
I was going to say the pee and a certain specimen from a certain time of a certain month. It was also
just
prevalent.
Gross stuff, yeah. And so we had a few stories. There was one from New Orleans where this man found one on the west bank of the Mississippi River at a place where there used to be a home that existed in the mid 1800s, and he dug it up and was posting pictures of it online, and people were like, "Whoa, put that back." Put it back. It's 2020. We don't need to be messing with that.
See, I don't find that controversial, because I live in Kentucky, and my grandmother used to like hang dead rats out in the tree to, in other words, there's a cross between hillbilly and witchcraft,
right?
I guess is what I'm saying.
So we totally agree. All that Southern folk magic.
You
get that.
we used to put shoes in our walls to. I never understand why that would scare away ghosts. I have no idea. But anyway,
no, go ahead.
No, I'm just.
Oh, I was going to say we just had a
used to
story
do.
where people found a bunch of left shoes in a wall. They were, remember that story?
Yeah, and they
We just
couldn't
did that
figure out
recently.
why.
And they found like a whole bunch of left shoes and a bunch of bones in the wall. They were redoing this old house, working on the foundation, and they pulled them all out, took pictures of them, did some research, realized that they were there for some kind of reason like that, and put it all back and sealed it back in the wall.
They've been looking for a peg leg demon ever since.
I was just going to, she said in human bones, I'm like, foot bones?
No, not human bones, just bones, like horse bones, things like that.
Oh, well.
Yeah. I'm not. It was funny because when I read the article, they were like, there were animal bones in the wall. And I was like, well, I mean, an animal could have just crawled in there and died, but they're like, there were horse bones. I was like, oh, okay, I guess not.
Really skinny.
Some of these old houses had really, what's that movie where my biggest flaw in the movie was nobody has that kind of crawl space. Shit. Oh well. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, The People Under the Stairs. The People Under the Stairs was the name of the movie
There you go.
that I drew a blank on because apparently they had like room to drive a truck around their wet wall. So
inside the walls.
Yeah.
Well,
and
my favorite story from this past year that had to do with the witch bottle was about a man on Antiques Roadshow. His name is Andy McConnell, and he's like a glass expert. And
he's not actually made of glass.
No, he's the one that appraises the glass items or whatever. And so this story just came out this year because they just realized what the bottle was. But a few years ago on the show, this man brought this bottle of this liquid, and he thought, he was like, that is amazing. I believe that that's some 1840s port or red wine. And like, 'cause they hadn't opened the bottle, and this was back in, and so on air, he said, do you mind if I taste this? Because he was so sure of what it was. And so the man was like, sure. So he stuck a syringe in the cork and drew out some of the liquid and drank it. And so this past year, the host, Fiona Bruce, revealed on the show that the bottle was a witch bottle and was filled, after it was tested, was actually filled with urine and hair and nails. And the guy that tasted it was like, tastes kind of rusty.
And that, my children, was patient zero for COVID-19.
Yeah. I can't even, like, why? You know what? You can't even trust liquors and stuff that were made. There was a lot of people that just died from hooch the first time around.
Oh, yeah.
Back then.
And that's when it was fresh.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Because he was like, it's very brown. I think it's some port or red wine, or it's full of rusty nails because that tastes like rust.
I'm trying to wrap my head around. Okay. So this guy's an expert, huh?
He is.
The process of first of all, there is no, even when I was a kid, I don't remember ever finding any type of bottle with liquid in it. And the first thing that goes through my mind is, let's take a big sip of this.
Yeah, no, never.
So which bottle or not,
time.
I don't care if it was wine from the 18, I would not have known. I would have taken that to a lab for analysis before. There is just, there's no amount, and I've done a lot of stupid things in my lifetime, but drinking out of bottles that I find in the ditch is not one of them. No,
exactly.
You know, you talking about the Southern magic and stuff and the old little cures they had. I know my dad when he was a kid, and I've told this on our show a couple of times. He had a lot of warts going up and down both arms, and they caught on this, I don't know, this old crone down the street, and she came down and like gave him a wheat penny for every single one of the warts. She sit and counted every one of them and gave him a wheat penny for every one of them, then told him to put it somewhere that he can't spend it ever, and the warts would be gone. And so he stuck them down in the old the slip in the medicine cabinet where you would put the old razors.
The old razor, slot where they could just go in the walls.
Yeah, so he stuck every one of those pennies in there, and I don't know if it was the next day or a couple of days, because this was in the 50s that this happened, and they were gone. And like everybody there, like that was just a normal, common thing. Like they don't think it's a big deal that it happened. But I've talked to people in years since, and they're like, yeah, we had something similar. This lady would come and she put a twig or something, and then would give me pieces of wood, and I had to bury it. But just very strange.
Mm-hmm.
No, most of my family, we didn't get into spell casting where we could get rid of warts by burying sticks. But yeah, I mean, I'll put it this way. I remember being a child and I had diarrhea badly. And I remember my mom's cure was coffee with flour in it.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah, I would just hold it in.
I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
I think that it tightens. And full circle back to the anus. I think the taste
Well,
of it. I remember it being foul, absolutely foul.
The same family, and of course they didn't. If they thought it was a spellcaster, they would have stoned her and burned her in the front yard. But the same family is the ones that would give us groundhog grease to cure sickness, and I'll tell you, I would not sniffle around them. I mean, it's like how you feel, little John? I am good. Totally good.
So it's like if you get a fever blister, just rub a little horse manure on it.
Yeah,
Ew.
yeah.
You won't lick your lips.
Disgusting.
I still don't know what consists of groundhog grease. Like I used to, when I was a kid, I thought they squeezed the groundhog really hard, and
Or stomped him or something.
Well,
filled up the thing with grease.
Unless it's a euphemism for something else, I get because we used to eat groundhogs.
All right,
And grease is grease. I mean, it's rendered. It would have to be rendered to be grease. Otherwise, it's just fat and blood. But
it might have been. It obviously worked for somebody.
All right. So this past year, just last month, we had the Christmas star. The first time in almost 800 years that you could see the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, and it looked like a humongous star in the sky.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. It was on December 21st on the solstice, so it made it extra special. And there was a ton of people, I think, streaming it online where you could see it. You could only see it right after sunset. But I don't think it's going to happen again until 2080.
Mm-hmm.
Long time from now. So I think
I'm still trying to figure out how it took 800 years, and now it's like happening every 2 generations.
No, it happens. It happens every 20 years, but you can't always see it. Sometimes it's too close to the sun. Sometimes it's not above the horizon. Like it's in different places in the sky. So this is the first time in 800 years that you could see it with your eye. So, and it's the closest that it's been. Like it's not always as close as it was this time.
I understand calling it as the Christmas star because it happened at Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got your people that try too hard to tie science into religion, and they go back to the biblical story, and they say, yes, that's what happened. And I'm thinking, if you follow those stars, depending on where you start at, you're just going to keep walking and just blow right past the baby Jesus because, he's like a county over, all because you were at the wrong longitude. But I didn't even get to see it, and I don't. That's because I go to bed before the stars actually come out around here most of the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the myrrh helped them get there. So
the myrrh, I don't know what myrrh is.
Whatever myrrh is.
Yeah, because everybody knows when you're having a baby shower, the best gifts are always perfume, gold, and a drum solo. That's
yeah. Hey, I'm for the drum solo.
All right. So I just have a couple more of the funnier stories that we did this past year. And one of them is about this theater in Ontario, Canada. And this was around Halloween. They held this contest. It was like a fundraising contest where they
apologized a lot.
Could buy
ask what everything was a boot.
Buy a $25 ticket, and they did a drawing to see if you could win the right to be their resident ghost after you pass. Yeah, we didn't actually do this one on our show because I missed it after Halloween, but I love this story. On Halloween, they drew a name and they selected Ryan Aldred of Picton, Ontario, and he has been granted the perpetual and eternal right to haunt the Regent Theatre as a ghost after he passes. That was his prize.
What in the blue hell?
First of all, I didn't even know that was like a privilege that you had to compete for.
You're going to
And
be
now-
earthbound.
Now, the bad part is, and from a purely religious standpoint, now this poor guy's going to feel obligated to not go into the light. Because
He's like, I signed a
it's
contract.
like the meme going around, you know, oh my God, what if when you die, you still have a job? And, you know, now this
guy is.
Well, yeah, and he's stuck. Well, I mean, there's worse places than theaters, I guess, to haunt. But as I've told everybody, you can count on me. When I die, the door will not hit my veil ass on the way out. I'm done with this world.
I'm gonna go watch chicks in showers for a while.
I've decided that I'm gonna stick around for a while and pop up in mirrors when people are looking in them.
Freaky ass woman.
Because I hate that.
She will do it. I swear, if you go before me and you do that, I will kill myself and just beat the tar out of you. I can't.
You'll be looking in the mirror. I'll just pop it and be like, "Hello."
Yeah. No, that'd be it for me. And yeah. Anyway.
Well, this theater, it was funny because I saw the story and then I went back after Halloween to see who won because I wanted to get the name, and they had a video on there from the guy from Ghostbusters.
Little bunny ghost.
I loved that cartoon when I was a kid.
Which one was it? The black guy, Eddie? Was it Eddie on the show? In the movie? I don't remember his name in the movie, but he did the whole, like, he was in the whole Ghostbusters get Winston. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen the movie.
You racist. Just playing.
He did a nice video congratulating
the winner. Name was.
Yeah.
That other guy.
I don't remember any of their names, okay? Venkman. I remember Venkman. That was one of their names, but I couldn't tell you which one it was.
The guy that won, how old is he?
Oh, I don't know if it says, let's see.
Wouldn't it be funny if they killed him?
It doesn't say, but I don't think that he's very old.
Like, this was all just to see who they murdered.
Well, I'm just saying, okay, first of all, if you won it when you're in your 30s, you know, you mean the place isn't going to have a ghost for the next 40, 50, 60 years? And
well, Canadians
not legally.
The Canadians follow the rules, man.
There could be, rogue ghosts that are there. I don't know.
Most Canadians I've met use their left and right turn signals, and
I don't think that he's very old. It didn't say specifically how old he was, but I think there was a video there of him. Like when they did the announcement.
I'm just thinking how depressing it would be that to be able to tell people, when I die, I'm all set up.
Yeah, you come see me over here.
I got a place to stay.
I would want some kind of, like, if they would do that for like local haunts, I would want some kind of privilege. Like, if I'm going to be haunting this place and we've already won the contest, I want to be able to come for free. I want to, spend some time there so I can actually leave some impressions.
Yes.
I want to be able to have, sex and all the,
like, have a favorite chair and all that.
Like if it was Waverly Hills, I'd be like, look, Tina, I got to be able to, like, get my nasty on and some of these, we're going to try everything. I got to sacrifice a llama.
Really, a llama?
Nobody cares about llamas.
All right. So another strange story from this past year was local for us, and it was about a tiger that was on the loose in Knoxville, Tennessee.
I remember when that happened.
Mm-hmm. And let me tell you how weird this is for us on a personal level, because this story, but right before it came out, a friend of John's, a guy that's a wrestler, published a book that he wrote. He wrote the book years ago. How long ago did he write that book?
In the 70s.
Yeah. And the story was based in Knoxville, and it was about a lion that was loose in Knoxville. And that was what the book was about. And he published it, and not even a few days later, there's these stories about a tiger on the loose in Knoxville. So
that's not just a wrestler. Now, this is what I get. Okay, I apologize right now to you, stud. So Tennessee stud Ron Fuller, who is a freaking legend among legends. He owns Southeastern Wrestling, and then Continental Championship Wrestling. That's okay.
Sorry, I'm not a wrestling fan.
So the Tennessee stud Ron Fuller, you can go to tnstud.com and pick up your copy of Brutus, which is the book. It's amazing. It's like Jaws in the woods. And but yeah, it was the literal week. Now this is bad. Okay. So he comes from a carny family, and my time in wrestling, we do a lot of very carny type things. I swear to God, I think he kidnapped a tiger and set it free in the woods just to sell his book. But yeah, tell the weird part that Knoxville.
Okay, so after they had a couple of these sightings of this supposed tiger, now the person that made the initial report was an off-duty deputy. His name was Andy Wilson, and he was working a side job at Knoxville's Industrial River Park, and he's the one that reported a large cat coming out of the French Broad River, crossing the street and disappearing into the woods. So it wasn't just like a homeless person or a random guy. This is a guy that is a deputy, and
we really we spread some shit on homeless people, don't we? Because we're always just like, it wasn't like some kind of homeless guy. I bet the homeless people that actually get a chance to listen to this, like, have us on a list or something.
It said that it went into a thick area of kudzu, and you can't see anything when they go into the kudzu.
Oh my, the kudzu.
No, especially not lions.
No.
Yeah.
So a few weeks later, an article came out that said that the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency claimed that the tiger was likely a case of mistaken identity. And the reason they said that was because they received a call from someone in the Kingsport area saying that they saw a tiger. And when an officer responded, they found a bobcat. Now, let me tell you how weird this is. Kingsport and Knoxville are not very close together. They're both East Tennessee, but we're talking about, 100 miles?
Yeah.
I mean, so because someone in Kingsport said, I think I saw a tiger, and it was a bobcat, they've decided that the one in Knoxville is obviously a bobcat.
And per capita, Kingsport is, basically, they're on meth or heroin at all times. So
they really have seen a tiger.
Yeah. The only people that aren't are the people that come in from out of town to work there. So
I don't know. So really, really strange story. Just, I don't think they've ever really found anything.
No, they've not found the tiger. There's a damn tiger in the woods in Knoxville. Beware.
They did count the tigers at the Knoxville Zoo, and they were not missing any. So they did. They went to the Knoxville Zoo and counted the tigers. They're not missing any tigers at Knoxville Zoo.
And there is a government employee whose job title is Tiger Counter.
Tie it all together, man. That's proper comedy.
Yes, everything comes full circle on this show.
Oh wow!
So are we good to commercials, or are we?
Yeah, I got one more little segment we're gonna play. Then we'll come back and let you all just plug the hell out of whatever you want to plug.
All right.
Okay.
Everybody, we'll be right back. Everyone's favorite fetish horror series will be returning soon. Clive Barker, creator of Hellraiser, is joining forces with HBO to executive produce a new series as a continuation of the terrifying Hellraiser franchise. No cast or release dates have been announced, but David Gordon Green, director of the 2018 Halloween movie, is set to direct. I am sure glad I held on to my latex bodysuit. The holiday season might be over, but the joy continues. Sci-Fi Channel released a parody of all those Hallmark Christmas movies called Letters to Satan Claus. A big city reporter returns to her small hometown, only to face the devil after a misspelling in a letter to Santa Claus creates horrifying results. Lesson here, always use spell check.
Isn't that how old you were when your parents were hacked to death? Oh yeah. Dad, what's going on? The monster took the mayor. But somebody has to, sing from the soul. Wow! It's a foot from a person!
And welcome back, everybody, to the last few minutes of a really fun, I do not think we could have kicked off 2021 with a better episode, and I could have had more fun because you.
Right, we love you.
Yes.
We have a lot of fun with you, Wes. We always have.
Mhm.
It's Wes in the old days was always the one. Like if we needed a guest, we knew who to get.
We just call Wes.
By God,
and then in March they invited me back, and son of a bitch Wes fell asleep on a Saturday night.
That was okay because we had technical problems that night anyway. If I recall, it was the night it stormed and all of our stuff went out. Remember?
No, I don't even remember that at all.
Yeah.
I was emotionally exhausted, and that it was like the early COVID days, and I just and then the next morning I saw their message. I said, I've already dropped the F-bomb this episode. I'm not gonna do it.
No, the good thing is the kudzu thing. That I'm gonna have to. We'll do that on our show. Man, I've got some kudzu stories because that was like everybody talked about that like years and years ago. It was taking over the world. You know, remember that?
Yeah. I do.
So listen, guys, we got a lot more stories from 2020. We're doing a best of over on Paranormal Sideshow as well, and if you want the rest of the story, we've got quite a few more that we're going to dig into, and more people we're going to make fun of and all that stuff. So join us paranormalsideshow.com or anywhere you like to listen to podcasts. We should be up on there anywhere from Audible to iTunes. It should be iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever. Just go there. Twitter, it's at Sideshow97, on Facebook.com/Paranormal Sideshow. And you'll find the rest from there. It's the rest or the rest.
Because that's why they call it the World Wide Web.
Yes. It's all connected.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. So, do you have any like big word of wisdom there? Any last little one-liner from the year? Or?
No, not really. Just it was a weird year, and I'm kind of glad to see 2021 now.
Yeah.
It's going to be weird again.
Yeah, I really think that 2021 is like hold my beer.
The only thing I've seen posted that has scared me so far is, you know how they do with Nostradamus, and every time they need a good story, they go in and read one of his poems, and allegedly he says 2021 is going to be involve zombies, an asteroid, and I forget what else.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
hadn't seen that yet.
But as long as we wear our mask, we will be fine.
Maybe he just thought everybody was zombies because they're all looking at their phones and wearing masks.
That's probably what
that is probably a good point. That is definitely a good point. I just hope that we can all get over this grumpiness, whatever it takes, whether it's a vaccine, a mask, or public beheadings. I am so tired of including myself in this, that everybody is just on edge, and I want that part to go away so that I don't have to worry about what I say quite as much.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to treat each other better, and I think we can all take that resolution for the year, and try to have a little bit of common decency, especially online. Yeah. Let people have opinions, folks. It's not going to hurt you.
Beautiful way to end the show, everybody. This has been Scarefest Television. We'll be back next week with just more frivolity and everything, and see you then.